My name is Elias Trenor, and I never meant to leave Earth's orbit. I was just supposed to run diagnostics. The year was 2236, and humanity had reached the edge of its own courage. The Stellar Frontier Initiative had begun sending autonomous probes beyond the Oort cloud, mapping the vast unknown. My job was mundane, a systems engineer aboard the Odyssey 4, a survey vessel orbiting the Kuiper Belt. We were there to ensure the probes launched correctly, record their telemetry, and, when possible, fix whatever broke in the silence between worlds. On the night everything changed, I was alone on shift. The others, Captain Yara, Dr. Kian, the twins from engineering, were asleep in cryo, conserving oxygen during our long drift between tasks. I stayed awake to oversee one last launch, Probe 19B, destination Alpha Lyrae. Should have been routine. I remember typing in the coordinates, aligning the probe's thrusters, checking the radiation shields. But then, something flickered across the monitors. A distortion in the feed. The stars outside bent like liquid through glass. First, I thought it was a glitch. I reached for the manual override. But before I could even touch the command panel, the Odyssey shook. The stars outside stretched into blinding streaks, like someone had pulled the universe apart. Every warning light went red, then black. The next thing I knew, I wasn't orbiting the Kuiper Belt anymore. I was nowhere. When power returned, I saw something I'll never forget. A giant blue nebula swirling around me like a storm frozen in time. The instruments said I was light years beyond any mapped region. The stars outside weren't even on record. I'd fallen through something. Maybe a wormhole, maybe a fold in reality itself. I tried to hail Earth. Nothing. The comms were silent except for a low, rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat, coming from somewhere beyond the nebula. Against every instinct I had, I aligned the ship toward that pulse. Because in the middle of infinity, any sound meant someone. As I drifted closer, the nebula opened like a curtain. And there it was, a planet glowing with silver oceans and floating landmasses, bathed in pale light from a star that shimmered like crystal. Orbiting it were structures. Massive rings, each humming with energy. They weren't natural. They were designed. Someone had built this. Someone had been waiting. Middle. I landed in a clearing surrounded by violet glass-like trees. The air shimmered, heavy with static. My suit sensors read oxygen levels compatible with human life, though the molecular structure of the atmosphere was slightly off. More vibrant, almost alive. The first contact happened barely an hour after landing. They didn't arrive in ships. They appeared, stepping out of thin air like the universe folded around them. They were tall, slender figures draped in iridescent robes that shifted colors with their movements. Their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the same silver light as their world. One of them approached me, her expression calm but curious. When she spoke, her words bypassed sound altogether. I heard them inside my mind. Traveler from the broken system. You were drawn by the signal. I stammered something about an accident, about trying to return home. She tilted her head, studying me the way a scientist might study a strange new particle. Home, she repeated. That word carries pain. Before I could respond, she gestured, and a sphere of light formed beside her. It expanded until it became a hovering platform. She motioned for me to step on. Every instinct screamed not to, but I had no options. Followed. The platform carried us across luminous skies, past floating mountains and rivers that shimmered midair. Below I saw cities not of metal or glass but of energy. Towers that looked like frozen lightning. Bridges of pure light. Beings moving in graceful patterns, as if their civilization itself was synchronized to a rhythm I couldn't perceive. At the heart of it all stood a vast citadel, carved into an asteroid suspended above the planet's core. And on its throne, surrounded by halos of pale energy, sat the queen. Her name was Variathal, though in my mind, it translated as the voice of stars. She wasn't like the others. Her form shimmered between solid and ethereal, like she existed in two realities at once. Her presence wasn't oppressive, it was magnetic, divine. When I knelt before her, instinctively, not because I was told, she smiled. "You are not the first human to wander into our fold," she said. "But you may be the last." I swallowed. "What do you mean?" "Your species walks a dangerous path," she continued. "You pull at the seams of creation without seeing the threads. The fold you entered was not chance, it was consequence. You tore through what your people call dark matter. To us, it is the fabric of thought itself." I felt a chill crawl down my spine. "You mean our probes caused this?" "Caused it." "Well, awakened Vera it." Rose from her throne, descending the steps as the air around her rippled with power. "Long ago, before your son was born, we wove this reality with care. The veil between stars, a boundary that keeps the chaos beyond from consuming all that is ordered. Your world, in its curiosity, has begun unraveling the veil." I stood speechless. "We didn't know." "Knowledge is not innocence," she said softly. "But neither is ignorance guilt." She studied me for a long moment, then extended a hand. When I took it, a wave of warmth rushed through me. Memories not my own flashed in my mind. Vast cities spanning nebulae, stars being born through song. And then, darkness, something vast, writhing, clawing at the edges of existence. Gasp. "What was that?" "The hunger beyond," she said. "An ancient force that feeds on awareness. It cannot reach us unless the veil weakens. But your kind, in their search for truth, are calling it." Silence fell between us. The truth hit me like gravity itself. Humanity's hunger for discovery might doom everything. Then she said something I didn't expect. "I have chosen you, Elias Trenor." "Chosen me? For what?" "To return to your world with the memory of this place, and the knowledge of what lies beyond. You will carry our message to your kind. Warn them that the stars they chase may one day chase back." I hesitated. "If I tell them, they'll think I've gone mad." She smiled faintly. "Then let them call you mad. But plant the seed of caution. In time it will grow." Before I could ask how I'd return, she turned toward the vast expanse outside the citadel's open dome. Through it, I saw the nebula twisting again, the same one I'd fallen through. "The path home is fragile," she said. "But it will open once more. You must go before it closes." But something inside me resisted. "Wait. Why help us at all? Why not let us destroy ourselves if we're such a danger?" She paused, her luminous eyes softening. "Because once, long ago, we were as you are now. Curious, reckless, beautifully flawed. And because in you, I see the echo of what we lost, the ability to wonder." She reached out and touched my chest. "There is something else. You were not pulled here by accident. The veil reacted to your mind. You are what your people call a resonant, someone whose thoughts can shape quantum fields. You bridged the fold without realizing it." What?" I stammered. "You can become the key to restoring balance, or to tearing the veil completely. That is why I needed to see you." Her words left me reeling. I wasn't just a lost engineer. I was the anomaly that triggered all of this. I could feel the world pulsing beneath us, the energy growing unstable. The Queen's attendants began chanting in tones that vibrated through my bones. She turned to them, then back to me. "The passage opens. Go." The platform that brought me here appeared again, glowing brighter this time. I stepped on it, heart pounding. But as it began to rise, I looked back and saw her watching me, her form flickering between light and shadow. "Remember," her voice echoed in my mind, "the stars are alive. Treat them as you would treat your own soul." Then everything dissolved into white. Ending. I woke up to silence. The stars outside my viewport were familiar again, the dull, comforting scatter of Sol's outer rim. The instruments read my position as 48 Australian dollars from Neptune. The Odyssey floated where I'd left it, systems nominal. As if nothing had happened. Except it had. When I checked the mission logs, they showed a 3-hour time gap, completely missing. To the system, it was as if I'd blacked out. But when I stepped into the observation deck, I saw something new etched into the hull, a faint, glowing symbol that matched the sigil on the Queen's throne. A mark of the veil. For weeks after, I tried to report what happened. Command dismissed my story as disorientation, maybe radiation hallucination. They grounded me from field duty. But the signal, the rhythmic pulse that started it all, never stopped. It still echoes through the deep space comms network. Sometimes faint, sometimes louder, as if breathing. I started to study it privately. I built receivers out of spare parts, triangulated the frequency. And every few weeks it changes. Not random, structured. Like a language trying to evolve. And then the dreams began. I see her, Variathal, standing beneath her shimmering citadel. The stars behind her shift into faces, into galaxies. She whispers across the dark. Elias Trenor. The veil is thinning again. I always wake up drenched in sweat. And when I check the receivers, the pulse matches the rhythm of my heartbeat. I tried to ignore it. Tried to live normally. But last month, an event occurred that shattered my illusion of safety. An experimental warp probe launched by a rival corporation vanished. Exactly like I did. And 2 weeks later, fragments of its hull were found orbiting no known star. The signal spiked at that same moment. It's happening again. I submitted one final report to the Stellar Frontier Council, encrypted under my access code. It warned of the veil, of the hunger beyond, of the Queen who guards the boundary between worlds. I don't know if anyone read it. But last night I received a reply, one not from Earth. Came through the same pulse frequency. The veil trembles. Return resonant. I stared at the message for hours before answering. If I return, what will happen? There was a long pause. Then another message, slower, almost tender. The Queen remembers. The stars remember. It is time. Now, as I record this, the Odyssey is preparing for launch. I've reactivated the old drive system. My coordinates are locked to the same point where I vanished before. The edge of the unknown. I know I might not come back this time. But maybe I'm not meant to. Maybe the reason the Queen called me wasn't just to warn humanity, but to bridge it with something greater. To become the link between thought and cosmos. Between curiosity and consequence. Outside my viewport, the stars are flickering again. Bending, twisting like liquid glass. The same hum fills the cabin, resonating in my bones. The pulse matches my heart perfectly now. I feel it pulling, calling me home. I think I finally understand what she meant when she said the stars are alive. They are not just burning gas and gravity. They are dreams, ancient dreams watching us, shaping us, waiting for us to wake up and remember. The veil opens. The Queen awaits. And as I step into the fold once more, I whisper into the radio.